According to our next guest, there is a new class of wealthy individuals in this country who are truly self-made. We are talking about people who have a net worth of between $1 and $10 million, and they have done it by hard work, not by inheriting. Joining us right now to talk about this new group, Schiff. He is a co-author of the new book, The Middle-Class Millionaire. Welcome, Louis. We're glad to have you. Thanks for having me. So the middle-class millionaire, I mean, it seems like it's an oxymoron. How can you be middle-class and be a millionaire, or is this just the new demographic that represents new wealth?
We're seeing a split in the middle class itself. You might almost call them the middle classes at this point, because there are those in the middle class who are doing what the middle class has always done, striving for the upward mobility of their families. And there's middle-class millionaires who are doing the same thing, but they're having very different results.
Well, are these people that we would have heard of, or are these sort of people who are quietly doing well?
Interestingly, the community seems to understand the communities that they live in, and they do live in the same communities as the rest of the middle class, and they send their children to the same public schools as the rest of the middle class. But the communities that they live in seem to be aware that these middle-class millionaires are doing better than the rest of them, and so they seem to put them on a pedestal. During our research, we found out that they pay more attention to the decisions they make, where they send their children to school, what kind of car they drive, where they go on vacation. So we found that the middle-class millionaire plays this almost gatekeeper role. If the middle-class millionaire is interested in something, the rest of the middle class is likely to be interested as well.
How is it just a matter of numbers, how they're called middle-class millionaires versus just plain old rich?
Well, definitely we used this filter of 1 million to 10 million, all self-made. But when we actually dug into the data, we found that there were these 4 qualities. We called it millionaire intelligence. And it seemed as though the middle-class millionaires exercise these 4 behaviors and attitudes much more than the rest of the middle class. That was the beginning for us of seeing a roadmap to middle-class life and a roadmap to middle-class millionaire life.
Can you give us the 4?
Sure. The first one's the toughest one. It's hard work. The middle-class millionaire works on average 70 hours a week as compared to 40 hours for the middle class. The second is perseverance in the face of adversity. They fail more often, even though they're more successful, but in the face of failure, they get up and they try again. The third is that they make decisions in their life, especially career decisions, based on how to make the most money. As opposed to choosing careers they love, they choose careers that pay the best. And the fourth, and the one that's spun into a lot of other information in the book, is that they are very networked in their community. They're extremely plugged in and connected, whether that's that they offer their opinion or whether they report that people ask for their advice all the time.
Well, it sounds like this is not just a group of people that if you want to make money, you want to emulate, but if you're an advertiser or a marketer, you want to reach them because, as you say, they're the gatekeepers and they're the people with this network of contacts.
You can find a new way of living your life based on what we've talked about in the research that'll help you achieve these goals. But for many businesses, this is also the ideal target market, not just because they're the first ones to buy a new product and they are willing to take new chances on products, but because if you win their hearts, you win the rest of the middle class.
Do you think that the people that you interviewed, that you did with the research, do they have a concept of being this kind of new group?
That's the interesting struggle we're seeing now, is that this idea of class warfare used to be about the middle class and people who were born into money. But in fact, these days, the icons of wealth, Mark Andreessen and others, are people who are self-made. And so the middle class itself has experienced a kind of a tension between those who are thriving and those who are struggling.
Mark Andreessen founded Netscape. He only has $10 million?
Well, he has what we call a middle-class millionaire mindset, but he's self-made, and whether we're talking about the icons of wealth like the Mark Andreessens and the Bill Gates, or we're talking about the friends from high school that you went to that did very well, they would all say to you, they're doing the same thing. They're working every day for the benefit of their family. That's the middle-class ethos, and whether you're middle-class or middle-class millionaire, that's what you share. Where we see divergence is what you do every day during the working hours.
Talk to us a little bit about lifestyle-wise. How is this group living that maybe is different from like the regular middle class?
Well, in many ways they're not. In many ways they live in the same neighborhoods and in the same houses. But we see that their time is so tight that they are often partners or owners in their companies or very hardworking executives. They definitely favor companies that favor them and that prioritize their time. So we see, for example, the most interesting area was in this new area of medicine called concierge healthcare. So instead of your doctor, your primary care physician, who probably has 2,000 patients and probably gives you a 5-minute physical every year, in concierge healthcare, the doctor probably has 100 or 200 patients and probably takes a full hour to 2 hours to coordinate your health care. They're having a very different experience. They're ending up in better shape, living longer, and they're paying for it out of their own pockets. That's because concierge healthcare prioritizes their time and their values.
All right, Louis, we thank you so much for coming in. It's really interesting. Louis Schiff there, co-author of the book Middle-Class Millionaire.